what do you get when you cross a know-it-all newspaper columnist with an awkward, unsophisticated everyman?
Yeah. Well, I'm just not sure about that right now.
Welcome to Couch and the Roo.
Welcome to Couch and the Roo, presented as always by our friends at Pure Options Precision Crafted Cannabis. If you are getting ready for a baseball and football weekend, Pure Options is here for you. Go to pureoptions.com, check out the location nearest you. You can join the Pure Perks loyalty program, have your Pure Options experience tailored just for you. Fantastic experience, terrific product, and great community partner. And they do events like next weekend's Funk Fest at the Pure Options Frandor location, 1 to 8 p.m. Very cool thing, similar to the other concerts and events they've had there. We'll get more into that next week. And our Thursday morning show brought to you by our friends at Firekeepers Casino and the Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app. Download the app today. Bet the Tigers. Bet the football. Maybe bet against the Tigers. I actually did this yesterday.
What?
Little consolation money. I'm to the point now where I want the Tigers to win so badly that I can root against myself and my own bets. And if you're in that place where you don't want this run to end, but if it does, you'd like to have a little extra money in your pocket, download the Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app today. Bet against the Tigers. It's a great way to get a little something either way. Jason, how you doing, brother?
Why do you always have to ruin something?
Sorry.
Bet against the Tigers? That's how you open the show after we fucking beat Houston yesterday?
That's my thing.
Bet against the Tigers. It's just what you'd have to do. Really? Like a live read? All right, yeah. Let's get the show off to a hot start. Bet against the Tigers.
Here's what
Screw
happened.
it.
Here's what happened.
You sound like the guys on 97.1 last night when I was trying to listen afterwards. Valeni, Rico, and Rieger all telling me how the Tigers, what they did wrong in Game 2 and how they're going to lose against Cleveland. It's like,
is that what they said?
No, they were having fun. It was fine. It was fun.
Yeah.
They should have added Caputo. It would have been greater. But no, I just was like, can we just talk about how great it is for a minute before we talk about all the disastrous shit that can happen?
No, here's what happened. Like, you and I have talked about this, that one of the reasons you don't bet against your own team, so to speak, is it ruins the experience. It sucks. You think, well,
even if you win,
you think it's like consolation money, but you find yourself rooting for the money against your own team. But there comes a certain point. I'm on the treadmill yesterday afternoon. Of
course.
I'm watching. I got Champions League soccer on one TV, and my makeshift TV setup that everybody's making fun of, and I've got the Tigers in the other, and I realize it's 1-0. I realize I just don't feel good about this. And I'm like, you know what? At that point, the Astros were plus money by quite a bit. Mm-hmm. And I just threw $40 on them that paid like $70 for the Astros to win that game. Because I knew in my head I wanted to lose that $40. And once you're at peace with that, it didn't affect my rooting one bit. I wanted the Tigers to win.
It sounds like a commercial for 1-800-GAMBLER, though. Like, why would you do that? Like, what does that matter? You really need $40 so bad that you
70. It would have paid 70, but still.
Yeah, but okay, so you would have won $30.
No. It paid 70. It
Total.
paid 70.
Okay.
Paid 110 or whatever. It paid 70. I was doing it on a real book, not one of these. Sorry, I'm just kidding. Our sponsor is one of those things. I was doing it on a book where the money looks different. Like,
might have to actually fix that in post.
Yeah,
I think.
Shit, fix that
for the first time ever.
But you know what I mean. Like, if you have a guy and you have a real book, the money, it doesn't come back at you like the way they do the math on the
However
apps.
you want to explain it, like it just sounds terrible.
It's not great.
By the way, I received multiple texts about your TV setup yesterday. It was like, what is up with your boy? I'm like, I don't know what, everybody watches TV differently and has different marriages and relationships. You have to do it differently.
I don't understand what people don't
What
understand.
gives me anxiety is your windows, like how wide open your house. Like, I could not have, like, I just would think, like, because I smoke a lot of weed, so I would just think that my neighbors are staring at me all the time.
You can't really see in as well as you think, unless the
I don't
lights are
care.
all on.
I feel like if I can see out, they can see me in, and
They can look at me. I come out.
I've had people come through Ovid and take pictures of like streets and stuff, or like the ice cream place. You know what I mean? Yeah, and send it to me, which is fine. It's if you want to swing by and say hi. I'm just saying I couldn't have window exposure at that level.
Yeah, no, it's
and you walk around naked too. That's what's like really wild.
Hey, if people want to look in, that's their thing. But so here's the thing: it's not a place that's a man cave. It's not built like we have one TV that's usually on a nice ledge that's over there. We use as a secondary, just a nice little TV. It's a secondary room.
Sure,
but it's where we put my treadmill. And so in circumstances this when there's more than one game, I just haul another TV, and I don't understand why it's such a thing. It's not like a permanent setup for that. I don't usually have the Tigers in the playoffs.
I think it's just your level of kind of bragging about it, and they're not really TVs. They look like monitors. I mean, like, I just feel TVs are, like 10 years ago, TVs were still expensive. Now you can go to Walmart and snag one for $2 something.
I'll say this, and my wife.
But that's your setup, man.
No, my wife took a picture of it the other day with me actually on the treadmill, showing me and from a better angle.
Where's this picture at?
Well, I'll tweet it out later. But the point is, the camera does make the televisions look small. One of those is a 55-inch TV.
What?
The other is 40 or 30. Well, the other might be 32.
What year was that a 55?
It's still 55 inches. Is 55
no, but it's got
inches.
like that frame like all around it, so that takes up like 10 inches of the TV screen already. So
inches don't shrink. Inches are inches.
Huh?
Well, inches are inches. You measure the measurements the same.
It's cold in here.
Before we dig into your Groovy Donut Twitter questions, as we do each week, what we're betting this weekend, presented by our friends at Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app, the only app that I would ever make any purchases with. But it is a great way. They have good sign-up bonuses, good new customer bonuses, and a great way to have some fun with the Tigers or college football, or swing on down to Dacey's Taproom and Sportsbook in Battle Creek off I-94. If you've never been there, it's really cool. Like, it is a big-time casino setup. Good vibes, great way to watch games and bet on the games.
How about the Tigers there, though?
That would be fun.
On Saturday at 1 o'clock. I mean, the Spartans play on Friday, so
that would be fun. You could just
kind of good vibe.
They don't kick you out of casinos. You could just stay from one to the other. Well, yeah.
I've been kicked. Yeah, you can get kicked out.
Well, don't try to get kicked out of Firekeepers. That's not what we're saying here. All right, let's. What are you betting this weekend?
I'm going to name some games because last week there's games that I liked. I just put them together, like, because I do 2-leg, 3-leg parlays here. But here's the games, Graham. You tell me what you like. UConn -14 at home versus Temple. Minnesota +9 at home versus USC. I know we didn't trust Minnesota against Michigan. They covered that spread, I think, at home. USC is not that good, especially on the road. Rams at home. We talked about this game with Harry. Green Bay against Green Bay. I love the Rams at home +3 and a hook. Carolina +4.5 at Chicago. I still like MSU Friday night +24 at Oregon, and Indiana -12. This is the one that scares me. Indiana -12 and a hook at Northwestern.
Yeah.
What do you think of that game?
I don't trust Indiana because of their brand, though. But when I watch their football, they're better in Northwestern.
I know, but they like to score. Signetti likes to run that score up, and Northwestern's kind of like, do they have any fight? Does Northwestern have any fight in them?
So what I would be inclined to do is I would tease MSU up and tease Indiana down and play those two together.
Gotcha.
I think that would be my play. I do like UConn a little bit too. What I am betting this weekend is Premier League soccer, naturally.
Of course.
Yeah. And I gave this out the other day, but really like it. The lines have moved a little bit, but it's still around there. Arsenal on the money line against Southampton, and Man City on the money line against Fulham. Both those teams are home. Man City and Arsenal both should win those games. So you need another game, and you get Brentford draw no bet. So if it's a tie, you know that part of the parlay is negated. You get a little of your money. You get your money back and a little money for the other two games. But I like Brentford at home against Wolverhampton. I know they haven't been as impressive lately. Their defense is a little leaky. I like that spot. I don't like this Wolves team. So that's the game I'm riding with. And if they win it, it pays even money.
So what does it mean when a defense is leaky in soccer? It's like guys getting
they're giving up some expected goals, so to speak. They're giving up some decent scoring opportunities.
I need to know lingo if I want to talk soccer.
Yeah. I also kind of like Bournemouth +115 at Leicester City. Yeah, but I'm riding with Brentford at home against Wolves, and I don't know. I don't feel as good about it as I did early in the week, so I'm letting you know that right now. And the other thing is, if you have another favorite or anything else, like I love Arsenal and Man City as part of any parlay. So you can do multi-sport parlays if there's another game somewhere you like, but those two together at home against Southampton and Fulham, I really, really like.
Are you getting gun shy now? You're like, I don't like it as much as I liked it earlier. Are you setting yourself up for?
I've just looked at more of the metrics for Brentford, and Wolves have played a really tough schedule, so are they as bad as we think? I just a little. I can just see this game going wrong. This is the game.
See it going either way.
You know what I also don't like about this weekend? This will be a Saturday morning game that I'll wake up after in Oregon, and I'll see the score. Like, I won't know. I'm not going to see the game. I'll just wake up. I hate that feeling.
On a treadmill. You're just going to wake up on a treadmill. It's going to be crazy.
I hope there's a treadmill where I'm staying. It'll be a disaster.
Can we get Couch a treadmill in his room? It's sent up there.
I know. I went at Airbnb with Solari and Madeline Kenny from the Detroit News. Yeah, the three of us in Airbnb in Eugene. Yeah, I will. I will.
Graham.
That's all you're going to hear.
Hotels there were ridiculous. It was the best way to do it without driving 2 hours at Portland at 3 in the morning.
I'm sorry. Did you say there's a young lady staying with you as well?
Well,
and Solari?
It's a house. It's like
but that doesn't matter.
Bedrooms.
You're under the same roof. I mean,
we're not. We both are married.
Weird.
We live with.
I
women.
know. Whoa! Pump the brakes, Turbo. I'm not saying anything's going to happen. I'm just saying
women.
The dynamic of two old white dudes and how old is this lady here?
She's not.
She's in her 20s, right?
She's almost 30.
It's all right. Yeah, I'm not saying there was any P. Diddy shenanigans. Calm down. I was just saying.
There's 3 colleagues
who
hang out all the time sharing a house.
Yes. That is the way to think about it. But on this show, Couch in the Rube, we kind of think about it another way. I'm just saying.
That's fair.
I wasn't saying any shenanigans were going to happen because you're both married. I get that.
That wasn't even.
It's kind of weird.
I was more saying we're married in the sense of.
I feel like she would get her own Airbnb.
No, I feel like it's more that we were married and others women have chosen to live with us. Like, we're not awkward people to be around, is what I'm saying.
Oh, please.
Okay, we are.
You are?
Yeah.
You're not awkward at all.
Yeah. That is what we're betting, presented by Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app. It is time now to dig into the Groovy Donut Twitter questions this week. Jason, are you ready?
Is she going to be on the post-game Spartan speak with, like, Windsor? You brought Windsor in?
No. She's not part of the company like that. Like, Windsor's in the Free Press LSJ.
Sorry. Man. Kurt Wisniewski first. I was in Houston over the last 2 days and was simply asked, who are these guys? Now to you, who are these guys? What team compares to this Tigers team?
I've been trying to think about this because there aren't many. You don't see runs like this where teams get this hot late and something changes. One of the teams, to put it in like Michigan State perspective, that it reminds me a little of is the 1997-98 Michigan State basketball team.
God.
That was like.
Can you go any farther back at all?
Well, I'm just saying that was the Cleve's first
senior in high school.
The first great run under Izzo. They looked like an NIT team through December, and then got really good. And they won a lot. They weren't like an overwhelming talented team. They won to share the Big Ten. They were a 4 seed in the NCAA tournament.
Was he playing 5 different point guards? He didn't know which one was going to happen.
No, he wasn't doing that. But they won a lot of improbable games. There was a game where they were down like 19-2 against Illinois, and Cleves hit a bunch of threes. He was kind of the Parker Meadows. They had a bunch of. I don't know. That would remind me of this setting and teams. I mean, obviously the Lions a couple years ago got hot late, but it wasn't like this. This is.
But what about any baseball team? Does this remind you of any? Like even back in the day of watching the Major League playoffs when you were a kid? Like I've never seen any kind of hodgepodge throwing a bullpen together, pitching staff just throwing different guys together.
And to go 31-11 over 42 games to make the playoffs, I don't remember that for a team that I've been following at least or paid any attention to. Yeah.
Just watching this team all year. Crazy. Kevin from Rochester Hills, did A.J. Hinch help or hurt Jackson Job's development by putting him in that situation?
I don't think long-term it's an issue.
He helped him.
Yeah, because they won, I think it helps, number one, because there's never going to be a more high-leverage situation that he's going to see this year.
And that inning should have been a bigger disaster. They were down 1 run after that whole thing happened. All right, boys, let's get some runs. Let's go. And that happened. So I don't think big deal. Like you can sit there and micromanage A.J. Hinch all you want.
And he's going to pitch. Now they're in a 5-game or best-of-5 series. He's going to pitch again. And so that won't be his lingering off-season sort of thing.
But what's the concern? Like it hurt his mentality?
Well, here was,
or like when he's on the mound.
I guess the argument would be this: if they had lost the game and after that inning, and then went on to lose the series, and he didn't pitch the next day, but I don't think long term it would make. You got to be tougher than that. I don't. I didn't agree with the decision because it's one of those things, and I understand he got a little unlucky, and the defense wasn't great, and he only probably made 1 or 2 pitches that were not ideal. But you felt it when he came in. You're like, oh my gosh, what is he doing? Like they pitched so well. Is this really the move here? But
why wouldn't it be the move with this kind of team?
Because Will Vest is a better option. Now, Will Vest closed the game, but it feels like Foley and Vest are just going to more likely get you to the
But you're up
land.
1-0. You're in game 2, yes. But if you do lose that game somehow, there is a game 3. This is a team of kind of destiny. But you need Jackson Jobe for future series.
You're
right?
running a lot of
against the Guardians. It would give him some sort of confidence. I think it somehow gives him some sort of confidence. Like they believed in me. It didn't get disastrous. and now we can move forward.
Two things. If you're on the roster, you should be ready to play, especially in that bullpen. And so they kept him on the roster, and I didn't mind using him. I wouldn't mind starting him in that game. Like, it's a little less high leverage at the beginning of the game, let him pitch the first inning or something like that. That would have been, now he might have been just as nervous and might have gone horribly, and then
we're down 4-0.
But then if that's what happens, then you shouldn't be playing him anyway. The fact that it didn't get worse, you're right. So it gets to 2-1, and I've got soccer on. I put soccer on both TVs for like 5 minutes. I was like, screw it. I don't want to see where this is going.
Now, did you get off the treadmill to do all that?
No, I can do it all from my phone. All from my phone.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's treadmill. It's good setup. And but then I came back and it's like 2-1. It's like, oh, okay. And so I do. But to answer the question, I don't think there's any long-term impact.
Steve, is it me or does Tarek Skubal favor a few too many groovy donuts? Hashtag one of us.
He's got, but a good pitcher has some ass to him. You know what I mean? Like, that's where you get your power. It's like it's.
Well, yeah, you got to be a hoss.
I do think Tarek Skubal would be a good spokesperson for Groovy Donuts. By the way, Groovy Donuts, they got Rosh Hashanah apples and honey Bismarcks this week. We are all celebrating Rosh Hashanah together with these apples and honey Bismarcks. Fantastic. Go to groovydonuts.com. Place your order today. They've got lots of great stuff. Fall donuts are here. Halloween donuts are coming soon, and are available by pre-order only at groovydonuts.com. You want to make your Halloween party, your Halloween night just better. Probably not the best for kids picking donuts with their grubby little hands coming to your house, but for every other Halloween occasion, Halloween donuts make the holiday, and they're really cool, and they do a nice job with designs and different flavor offerings. Go to groovydonuts.com. They got 2 locations, Lake Lansing Road in East Lansing, and in Williamston. They're open 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. Thursday through Sunday.
David Zondi next. Went wild in 84, cried in 87, lived through 03. I haven't watched the Tigers since Jim was smoking Marlboros in the dugout. Mind if I get on this ride again? And can I hear Jason give a big LFG for these Tigers?
Go out there, play hard, stick your cleats so far up their asses that they've got to use the cleats to brush their teeth with.
Let's fucking go, David. Let's go.
Yeah,
it's amazing. Yeah, you can jump on whenever. Like my
100%.
friend, Michigan fan Jordan, he's like, you've been paying attention all season long. I'm like, who gives a shit? You're a Detroit fan, jump back on. Things were terrible for the 3/4 of this season.
And you're not a bandwagon jumper. If you were on the 84 ride, if you were upset in 87, which I was one of the first ones I remember, if you were there with them in 03, this isn't.
I don't care if you dipped out after the 94 strike. I don't give a shit. Jump back on. If you live in Michigan, you want to be a Tiger fan again.
This is fun. This is fun. And I think the beauty of it too is it's not some plucky upstart team with veterans who can't duplicate this and aren't going to be around very long. Like, there are a lot of young guys who are going to be part of the core of this team for a while to come. And yes, they've got to add to it. Yes, you're not going to duplicate this exact thing every year. There will be decisions that have to be made. The team will not look exactly the same in a couple of years, and nor should it. But,
that's the big question. Will Chris Ilitch see this and go, well, we don't need to spend?
Well, yeah, we'll get into that here in a little bit.
MZA, can the Tigers win it all?
If the 2006 St. Louis Cardinals can win it all, the Tigers can win it all. And that's the thing about baseball. I tweeted this out yesterday. At some point, this will drive me nuts. Not this year because it helps the Tigers. But when you have a series, a best-of-5 series that takes place over 47 days like this, I'm just kidding. It's not that much. But they're able to start Skubal a normal rest in Game 2 and still use him on normal rest in Game 5. So you have to win one game that he doesn't pitch in the series. Think about that. One game that he doesn't pitch. This is not baseball. Like, if you're going to do this, play 40 games over 3 months, a day or two off between every game. Don't make it what it is. This is not reminiscent of the grind of the season. This isn't. If you're going to play 162 games, don't make them somewhat meaningless. The playoffs should be reflections of the regular season. Wild card round should be best of 5. Every other round, best of 7. 1 day off in a series, like 1 day off in a week. You got to have pitching depth. You got everything. I still think the Tigers will be competitive there, and right now this is their advantage. Not going to complain, but at some point this will be bullshit. And as you're building a team, if you've got a playoff team, don't waste money on extra pitchers. 2 or 3 tops. That's what you need. You need 2 or 3 guys you can rely on as starters in the postseason. I'm not saying you shouldn't have other guys, but don't spend your money on them because you're not going to pitch that many. They're going to give you days off. They're going to make this. They're going to draw this out, and then before the World Series, there's usually like 3 weeks off before it's predetermined. It starts December 2nd or some bullshit. So, but to answer your question, can they win it all? Which I've gone away from. Of course, they can win it all. It's obviously feels unlikely, but at this point, are you going to bet against these guys?
Never. MZA, what does MSU have to do to beat Oregon?
It begins with
pray, I think.
No, it begins with taking advantage of opportunities. Obviously, that's not turning it over when they get in the red zone, getting points, and continuously. Because if they move the ball like they did in their first 4 possessions against Ohio State, they'll be in this game. I think defensively, they'll be in this game as long as the offense doesn't screw them with turnovers and give them a short field. Like, I think they can hang in there. But they got to take advantage of opportunities because this is one of those games where Oregon is very likely the better team, right? I think everybody's aware of that. But not so much better that you can't be in the game and make things interesting late and put some pressure on them. And I think you do have a couple advantages. We'll see if Oregon's offensive line really holds up. I think that against MSU's pressure and pass rushes, maybe the most interesting matchup of this entire game.
MZA, Graham, how would you distribute MSU's minutes at power forward this year?
Well, you got to let some things play out. And it was interesting. Izzo said he wanted these guys to make the decision for him. Now, every coach sort of says that every year. But you're going to start Xavier Booker there. The real question is how it all looks with different, like, how does Kohler look at that position? Can he defend guys at that position to play him there? How does Coen Carr look at the 3? It's small forward versus the power forward. And how does that affect the guys around him and the team and the offense? So, it's really hard to answer that. I mean, I like Coen Carr a lot at the 4, but if you start to do the dynamic then, I would give Coen Carr at least, 15 minutes there. I'd give, 25 to Xavier Booker, and I'd play everybody else around him. That would probably be my play if I were doing it. But Izzo seems to think he likes him more at the 3 because of the way he's able to run the court. And I, in practice, you could see some things in transition where he is, even in traffic now, it's not like just the runaway dunks, but he is a force. And if that's going to be the case, and you have enough shooters around him, and because a guy like Booker paired with him, you have a stretch 4, then it makes some sense. But it's a hard question to answer right now because I just don't have a sense of what it looks like and whether Xavier Booker is a 4 gives you enough shooting, and he's maybe their best shooter. But what I mean is that you're not – sometimes you play the 2 bigs, right, and it clogs things up. So we'll see.
Scott, why does Izzo refuse to want to play Coen Carr at the 4? He needs to be paired with lots of shooters no matter how well he runs the court. Only way he plays the 3 is with Booker and Kohler also on the court. Also, won't Fiddler likely play 30 minutes at the 3? It's
going to be fascinating how they divide some of these up because Fiddler's going to play a lot. I think he'll start there. I think you're going to see Jaden Akins start at the 2. But there will be matchups where, and there will be times where if you look at Jeremy Fears and Trey Holloman and you also want a guy like Jaden Akins on the court, that maybe Fiddler isn't on the court. Or maybe you're even playing him down at the 4 for a minute or something like that. But it's hard to know like what their closing lineup will look like. I think basically you do have to experiment with some lineups, and they're doing that now in practice, and you should get some of a feel for it. But that's part of what the early season's for in college basketball. You do have to get a feel for what works and what doesn't. Like Coen Carr at the 4 with Booker at the 5 closing the game, and that game in Spain against the club from Serbia was a real revelation there. And I thought they would use Booker at the 5 some, but boy, that was a difference-making lineup in that moment. Now, how much was that matchup dependent? How much is that sustainable? How much of that really is who Coen Carr is? Those are things you got to kind of figure out. But where do guys make the best impact and what lineups work best together? Those are things you have to sort out, and sometimes painfully. Like, that's why the Champions Classic really doesn't mean all that much and shouldn't mean all that much, because while it can be a fun game to win and it can put you on the radar, and a lot of national dweebs will be down there waddling around writing about it and in a game they didn't need to waste their company's money going to, it ultimately doesn't make a big difference in the long run. Think about Michigan State winning that game in 2013-14 and 2015-16. Neither one of those teams got to a Final Four, and yet they were the best team in the country for 2 months. It's not about finding it and being best early. This is a young team, and they're going to have to figure out, in those settings a little bit, where guys make the biggest impacts.
Jack Hocklock, Coach D'Antonio had the famous "It'll never be over" line. What will Coach Jonathan Smith's signature quote be? And what type of moment will it take for us to see him really fired up after a game? I'm glad A.J. Hinch is getting redemption.
Well, I mean, he also did some of this to himself, A.J. Hinch. I mean, it is
Yeah.
cool, but it's not like he is not culpable at all. It's a good question. I'm trying to read Jonathan Smith on this because I can't, like Jonathan, maybe it's just his demeanor, but I have to believe deep inside, for example, he feels a certain way about Oregon that MSU fans can relate to in the way they feel about Michigan. He played quarterback there for 4 years. He's rebuilt a program at Oregon State in the shadow of the Ducks being right there. He must feel a certain way, but
you can't force it either.
Well, and you can't say it, yeah, and you can't say that. So what will his line? Yeah, you're right. It has to be something that happens after a moment, after something that warrants the line. Like
Right.
the little brother comment warranted a comment from Mark D'Antonio, and when they stuck the flag in the when was it Joe whatever his nuts was name was from Michigan, Joe Bolden was it stuck the flag in Spartan Stadium in 2014. That warranted D'Antonio saying it's not the coach, it's the program, like whatever. Those moments, and D'Antonio is great at those quips. I don't know that Smith is, but we'll see if he starts to get those zingers, and it's going to take a moment where it's warranted before you're right, you can't force it.
DeUper, does this game against Oregon mean more to Jonathan Smith than the Michigan game will? If so, what will that still be true a year from now?
A year from now, it probably won't be, because here's what happens. And if you talk to coaches who've been in the Michigan State rivalry, they start hearing about it from fan bases, donors, and everything a million times a week, right? And so to me, by a year from now, there will always be some, probably certain feeling about Oregon, but they won't play Oregon every year. They'll play Michigan every year. And that rivalry will determine so much about the mood of his fan base and the people around him that I think it'll happen pretty quickly.
Maybe. I can't decide whether to come to the Oregon game. It's not expensive. I have the time off. It's a matter of whether they can actually win the game and a 5 a.m. flight home. What do you recommend? Well, there's a spot at the Airbnb open, I'm sure.
We can fit you. We can make room. And the other thing is, I'm actually flying today through Denver. You can get on my flight.
Oh my God!
Yeah, get on my flight.
It's unbelievable.
Eugene. Yeah, it's.
What are the odds?
I don't know if Michelle wanted me to give away her location, but anyway, yeah.
What's her address?
Yeah, life is about experiences, and if you think this would be fun, I would do it. I would absolutely. If you think you'll regret it, that's what I always try and think of. Think about how you'll feel on Saturday morning. You'll be glad you stayed home, watched it on TV, and you relaxed, or will you be glad you were there? And which do you fear regretting more?
David Jackson, did you think that your Oregon media guest was a bit too full of himself in regards to Pac-12 schools? Was the bit about there being several varsity sports where the Pac schools are now the top 4 teams in the Big Ten way over the top? That will happen 0 times this year, right?
So we have another, I thought I put these together, but we have another question about this too. And there's no question he comes across a little pro Pac-12, pro Oregon, little fits the brand, little
smug.
Little smug, but I don't.
You guys have that about you,
yeah,
smugness.
But it did. That I'm not. That's certainly the tone comes across that way. Now, Oregon football has some reasons to be feeling that way, based on who they've been for a while. But he said there were several varsity sports or Pac-12 schools are now the top 4 schools in the Big Ten. Was that way over the top? What he's talking about is there are sports. Swimming and diving, other things like that, where they just do things at another level out there because it's more important and it's a different culture. And this is when you're blending cultures of the Big Ten and Pac-12 where they're not similar. You're going to have some of this, no question.
David Jackson, while Chiles' passer rating now has crept past Noah Kim, can we come out and say that 2 turnovers plus per game is bullshit and he simply must take better care of the ball? Have we ever experienced an MSU quarterback with this propensity to turn the ball over? I mean, holy shit.
I'm trying to think of like Damon Dowdell or Tony Banks or somebody else.
But one on the flip side, if he plays really, really well, gives you a chance to upset some teams too.
Yeah,
Right? Have you had that kind of quarterback?
Let me give you. Let me hold on. Yeah, something.
I am the passenger.
I mean, I felt all of Fred Human.
I ride through the city's backside. I see the stars from
Okay.
out of the sky.
I thought Banks turned it over a lot more as at Michigan State than he did. He had 12 interceptions only in 95. I thought he even had more in 94. He does have a lot of interceptions. Like that can't continue at this pace if he's going to, like he can become a great playmaker and he can be somebody who leads them to a lot of cool stuff. But if he's costing them just as much, it doesn't work. But at this stage in his career, I don't see it as a problem yet, and it's interesting because the numbers aren't great. Yeah, it's true. I mean, the quarterback they're facing has 1 interception, and Chiles has 8. But it doesn't feel like a huge concern to me yet, and I'm going to trust my gut on that.
Next one from David. What positions do the Tigers need to target in free agency?
This is really interesting because I'm sure this is somewhat evolved for them as they've gone through this last 2 months, and I mean. I don't know that Torkelson's future with the Tigers is certain still. I mean, he's had an okay run here. But if you can get a fear bat in free agency, like some of what's...
If we kept Javi Baez around putting up historically bad numbers, I think that Tork will be around for a minute.
Yeah. Middle infield is still something... the infield is still a place you're probably going to need somebody. Third base or...
And Jake Rogers' bat, though, I know he's great defensively, great catcher and all that, but...
I don't think catchers. I don't think catchers a problem with them. They got young catchers in the system. They have a good catcher in Rogers. They got other positions they have to fill more than Rogers, right?
Well, he's asking. I'm just wondering, just talking about it.
To me, if you're going to be a serious organization, part of that is sometimes saying goodbye to beloved people, and you're just not playing around. And that is, the smart thing is who's available. You have to think of it that way in trade or in free agency, and then. You go after them, and if you get a fear bat, if you get the Gary Sheffield bat, right? What position does that person play, and are they better than the person you have there now? And how much do you value that? And what's the wins over replacement of that? And I think there are lots of things to consider, but I think the infield there are a lot of spots to consider.
Professor, will Pizza Man pay up now, or does this Tigers run entrench him in his ways?
He's got to pay up now. There's no. I mean, there
he
would
better
be
pay up for Scooble.
Well, that's the
I
thing.
swear to God.
Right. The thing that's the first thing I think they should do is they should lock up Green and Scooble. And if they do that, that'll have a lot of goodwill. If they show the type of money they're willing to spend on those two guys, and then you got to go get. If you're not willing to add somebody outside, be it trade or free agency, to improve the team you are.
But do you trust Chris Ilitch
I do
right
not.
now?
No,
that's the thing.
Not at all.
I don't either.
Not at all. He's going to have to earn that trust. He has not earned it to this point.
You're telling me that through that champagne that he wasn't going, man, we can do this on the cheap?
Yeah. No, that's not
I
cool.
know that he was doing that with his buttoned-up shirt. C-Dubs, next. Realistically, how far does this Tigers team go? I think they make the ALCS and run out of steam. Also, I said on this show back in August that they would make the playoffs. Hopefully I'm wrong this time. Hopefully I'm wrong this time, it says.
That doesn't make sense.
That's what it says here.
Yeah.
I'm just reading what's in front of me.
Oh, he's hoping he's wrong. They run out of steam. I see. I know what you're going. It's impossible to know. Like, at this point, they're the hottest team in baseball. They've obviously got enough. They've got a formula down where they ride Screwball for a day. Like, they're gonna need him to keep pitching like he did the other night.
How many teams that are still in the playoffs, though, that would look at the Tigers coming in to their place right now would be like, I'm not scared of the Tigers. I think everyone would be scared of the Tigers.
It's interesting. Listen to the broadcast, and you just listen. I do think the way they were talking about, usually teams are accustomed to facing a starting pitcher, and you face them 3 times through the order, and now you're facing a different pitcher all the time. And if you have a bullpen like this, and especially when you get these days off in the postseason, I'm not sure that this isn't. I mean, you got to have this sort of bullpen to do it, but I'm not sure this isn't more of a headache for opponents than having a pretty good starting pitcher. Now, obviously, you'd rather have 3 Tarek Screwballs, but you essentially do. That's the other thing. By having all these days off and getting an extra start out of him, you essentially have 2 of him, and this is why they have to pay him. Like, his value, if I'm him, my price went up when I'm looking at the schedule. I'm like, hey, wait a second. I'm double me because they take so many days off in the postseason. You get 2 out of me no matter what, every series. You're getting 2 me. And so the schedule, if I'm Scooball, the price goes up.
To me.
You get to me. Yeah.
C-Dubs, no way that Graham's actual treadmill, no way that is Graham's actual treadmill TV setup. Do we need to set up a GoFundMe for a TV stand or a wall mount?
No, the usual setup's much better. Like
But here's the thing.
Yeah.
Elizabeth doesn't want the TVs out when there's no games
Well,
on.
we just have a nice TV in that corner. It's good. It's a perfect setup normally for that room as a secondary TV watching room. It's not the main TV watching room.
Okay.
And usually I move a TV a little closer when I'm just on the treadmill.
Right.
I don't want to bog up the.
It's okay, man.
100-year-old house with great walls and new windows. The windows, by the way, cost more than a house. Apparently, I didn't know this till this last year.
Yeah.
So we're not messing with that area. Again, that's
so you can't put a TV next to a window because windows are expensive.
TVs cost $32. Windows cost $42,000. Fuck TVs, right? Windows are where it's at.
I guess so.
Yeah.
C-Dubs, why does Graham keep bragging about how great Lansing is? I love it here too, but we don't want more people moving here.
Well, I take a few more people just to, give us a few
But
more
see, I
people.
think it's reverse, though. I think people, when Graham loves something, it makes you not want to either do it or like it or anything. So I think it will keep people out.
Mm.
People that like Graham are few and far between.
Mm.
I mean, like your lifestyle. I think they like you covering Michigan State and everything.
Mm. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like people are going to hear you brag about Lansing and you do it over and over and over and like, oh, whatever.
It is true. I mean,
Lansing can't be that great.
When you're stuck in traffic in some big city going by us.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Depot and Home Depot and some suburban
I live in
sprawl.
Ovid.
Yeah. Well, Ovid's
Excited
good.
about-
I like Ovid.
Yeah.
I like small
I love
towns.
Ovid too.
Yeah, I'd rather a small town than a suburb.
Matt C., is MSU's single-year defensive turnaround one of the best ever? I don't think they've had 15 sacks in 3 years under Hazelton, but already have 15 this year.
It's there have been years within Michigan State's program before. If you go 2009 to 2010 defensively under Pat Narduzzi, same coordinator, just defensively how they turned. And there have been defenses that I'm sure it's happened before, but because you have a new coordinator and because the approach is so different, it really stands out. It's got to be up there. And so far, and this is another test of it, right? Like Ohio State was the first time they really didn't get home and put pressure on the quarterback that often. I think they've got a chance to do it a little bit at Oregon, and they need to. If they don't win that matchup a little bit, because that's been Oregon's weakness, or at least was at the very early in the season, they're a little susceptible there. I don't think Michigan State has a chance.
Matt C., who had more talent around them, Aidan Chiles in 2024 or Kirk Cousins in 2009? I say Chiles. Cousins ended his first year as a starter with 9 interceptions. Chiles had 8 in 5 games. Let's stop making excuses for his play.
Yeah, but if you threw a stone at Cousins' feet, he would check down or throw it 40 miles away, or
They're different eras too,
different
right?
Players, different. I mean, you're leading. If Kirk Cousins was if 2009 Kirk Cousins was quarterbacking this team, that Boston College game would have gotten ugly. They would have lost the Maryland game.
It'd be Tommy Schuster.
Well, no, he's better than Schuster.
Oh yeah,
I think. Well,
I'd give you a vibe. You know,
yeah, he had more. He had physically more talented than Schuster, but it's very different. Again, I understand you're not an Aidan Chiles fan. I'm telling you right now, I don't see this as a problem.
I think Matt
yet.
C. wants to be.
I don't know that
He's
he
just
does. I don't know.
skeptical.
Skepticism is coming across really
Sometimes
anti-him.
it's passion.
Yeah.
You know. Gotham volleyball dad. Did I watch Villa beat Bayern Munich?
But close.
Whatever.
Yeah.
And the Tigers sweep in an hour's time. Also, as someone that sat in the room while their wife watched Virgin River, is it fair to say you're underselling how embarrassed you should be for watching that?
Yes. I mean, this is why the other day when we were talking about not guilty pleasures, but things we're embarrassed that we admit. Like, I knew even for my standards that this was bad.
Wow, Virgin River.
It's not good. It's not. It's not only just not. It's okay, but it's like it's very much. It's like my passion for the show Guiding Light when I was in 6th grade. The
makes sense.
Yeah, the soap opera. Because the woman who played Harley, I had like a mad crush on. Like, she was. I mean, that's why I came home from school and it was like 3:00. Guiding Light. Hell yeah.
I'll be up in my room.
Yeah, leave me alone. I didn't have TV in my room. I would have.
No way.
Yeah, no,
But you were on a treadmill.
I was on a treadmill in
Yeah.
6th grade. It's not. And again, it wasn't like something I was like, oh, Virgin River's on, I have to watch it. It was like something I had on the background while I was working, Had a little
Don't
Hallmark
backpedal now.
Yeah, geez.
You just got to lean into it.
Yeah, by the way, the Aston Villa, I mean, that was one of the more fun TV. Just, you talk about one of the things that's fun when you're working out, right, is if there's something that creates a certain amount of energy that makes you forget you're working out. And with the Tigers playing like high leverage baseball and that particular soccer game, one that I think even Jason would appreciate, the way Villa won that and just the intensity of that Champions League game, it was a lot of fun to have those two on together.
The only thing I appreciate is they get it over in 2 hours. Peasy, Graham, I thought you were like 50. You're close to a millennial?
I'm 44, so I'm part of the Oregon Trail generation, which is 77 to 83. And we're like fringe. Both of us, we're fringe millennials. We're not quite there, but we're not Gen Xers either. We're in that in between.
Just tell me whatever I am, I guess.
Greatest generation, Oregon
Getting
Trail
old.
generation. Yeah.
Peasy, who let the Tigers get hot?
There is something to the idea that in the dog days of baseball, if you're able to, and when some teams probably do take a day off or a getaway day when they're playing a Sunday afternoon game or a Thursday afternoon game after the end of a series, probably don't put everything in every at bat or whatever like that. If you're the team that is, it probably does help you. You probably do win a couple extra games, and they got in a place where everything meant so much to them. But still, there's just no way you could have seen this coming. There's just no way you saw this coming.
Peasy, how irrational am I for having hope in the Pistons after this glorious Tigers run?
Well, this is really a Pure Options live read here. If you are, if you want to jump on the Pistons over 25.5 wins to have a little action on the Pistons, I would suggest a run to Pure Options first before you make that bet. It'll make you feel a little bit better about what you're doing. Forget about the possibilities that they win 14 games against and what you've seen the last few years. I do like the over, but I think it's one of those bets you need to have a little Pure Options, a few MGs in your system. It'll help you. It'll help you just have a little more confidence in your day, feel a little bit better about the situation. If you're looking to chill this weekend, go to pureoptions.com or the nearest location to you, and you can download their app. And there are lots of things you can do right at the touch of a phone with Pure Options as well.
We're dropping MFers now?
Mark Snyder, is there a protocol you want us listeners to use when we see you in public? One night last week at a dark, desolate Admiral station in North Lansing, I realized I was pumping gas next to Graham. Figured if I approached, I'd scare the shit out of him, so I left him alone.
Huh. I do remember being there.
Do you remember a guy creeping at you around?
I don't. I didn't. I mean, I was in my own world. I think I was going to pick my mother up from the airport. That's my airport gas station on the way to the Lansing airport. Yeah, that's.
You can yell Graham.
Or just,
hey, Graham.
Maybe that we go back to the caw for that, you know?
No.
Caw. If I hear that, I'll know you're a friendly, you know?
You guys doing caws in parking lots. Mark Snyder, if Aidan Chiles plays for MSU, plays for MSU 2 more years after this and never plays pro football, will he have made enough money to work a day in his adult life? Well, I mean, it depends on how you want to live. I mean, he could move to Ovid and live like a king for the rest of his life if he wants to.
Yes, he will, though. I mean, if he's smart with his money. If you and I had more than now, there are a lot of taxes involved with this, but he should have a couple million that he's made after taxes. Depending on how he lived, like you can live the rest of your life. It may be a middle class life off interest if you did nothing else. But you can absolutely live with a couple million in your account. Even you've let that shit grow and invest that wisely and cautiously at his age. 100%.
Just checking your bank account every morning. God, that would be amazing.
By the way, if anybody sees me around, you won't freak me out. If you say my name,
he will look freaked out because he's just awkward in person.
Yeah,
sometimes.
but I won't be. Yeah, please.
He won't mean it.
Especially in my hometown here. Like I would just assume, you know.
I mean, who doesn't love getting recognized though?
Oh, it's great.
Unless you were getting yelled at, like, "Hey, your ass!" Like then maybe not.
Unless you're hiding from somebody, you've been there.
1,000%. I still do. When I hear my name, like, "Are you Jason Nick?" And I'm like, "Do I owe you money? You're not a cop, right?" Like I have to go through that top 5. It's getting better though. Mark Snyder. So this guy calling the Tigers Astros series was the Michael K. Yankees fans. Michael K. That Yankees fans brag about being so good. He can't carry Jason Benetti's spectacles.
I mean, he's okay. I've known K for a long time, but Benetti's better.
It's like a New York thing, right?
I just wish they could have the local. Like I wish there were 2 different local broadcasts where each team, almost like they have the separate broadcast for Monday Night Football and other things, where you could watch your local announcers, and they put them on. ESPN can still have the rights, but if they put one of the games on ABC and one on ESPN, and you had your local, and you could pick which one, I bet you that
there's so many different ESPN things that you can have another.
Yeah, be ways to do it. Yep.
Fart Soup, did either of you get pissed off and turn the game off when Jackson Jobe went in and loaded the bases with nobody out? Because I did. Then 5 seconds later, the Tigers were ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it was after they scored in that inning to get to 2-1. Before the inning was over, I changed it for like 5 minutes because it was. Yeah, I was just like.
I stared at the floor for a while, but still the game on. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, if you're on a treadmill, you could stare at the floor and get a workout in.
Fart Soup, Mrs. Fart Soup banned me from the show last week because of our honeymoon, which apparently she didn't have listening to Couch's dulcet tones high on her list. Have either of you been banned from doing something you so dearly love for the sake of a vacation? Absolutely not. Like, what do you mean? Like, I don't understand. Like, what were you doing on your honeymoon that every single second of the day? Like, didn't you guys have like a chill period where you're like out by a pool and listening to pod? That's all I did in Mexico during our wedding. I mean, I don't like hanging by the pool all day long, so I just went and did other shit.
I mean, I took my wife to a Division II football game on our honeymoon. So like, she's a trooper in that sense. She did but I do when there is like a request. Like we were in Paris a year ago in the summer with my in-laws, and she was. I think it was partly because of my father-in-law, but no, she just certain shirts she didn't want me to wear in Paris. She was like, if we could go shopping before we go, and we could get you a few things, and just don't wear this polo and this. Yep. There were a few clothes, and she was just like, it's not the hugest deal. She didn't want her stepdad to wear his Iowa Hawkeyes hat everywhere, which he did anyway. But it just I get that, so I obliged.
Why did she not want him wearing his hat? Like just because it was like tacky, or that for like photos?
Yeah, she wanted us to fit in a little bit in Paris, and we did not.
I love it. Fart Soup. Does anyone else feel erect after punching out the Astros? I'm going to go back and watch the 2006 Maglio smash a home run to get us to the World Series. Let's go, boys.
It was.
I was erect. Yeah.
It was
definitely both for the 06 one and for that one.
The Maglio one was.
It was unbelievable.
I
remember where I was. Yeah. Ryan Rockwell, 24/7 reported that Jaden Mangum said someone from MSU reached out to him and basically said, "Don't come back." What's the MSU side of the story? Sorry, forgot I wrote this down last month and didn't submit it.
Yeah, I mean, my understanding is they would have taken him back. So I don't know that. I think his brother was less welcome back. So I don't know the full. But I don't know the full story on that. It's I'm surprised that was. From what I understand, Jaden Mangum would have been absolutely welcome back.
Ryan Rockwell, is Oregon the new Big 18 villain? Your guest writer from Oregon had the same pompous air about him that Michigan and Ohio State lackeys have. I felt my blood boiling. Unrelated, but I also couldn't shake that he sounded a lot like Sean Windsor. And from Ryan Jewett, is Oregon the West Coast Michigan? A little full of themselves. The Ducks beat writer you had on sounded kind of like a douche. What's Oregon's rep inside the old Pac-12?
Noted. We'll make decisions.
I have to go back and listen to this interview.
Yeah, no, I mean, I can see why they feel that way. It's sort of the tone he has. I don't think he's a douche. I
thought he sounded like Jason Sudeikis a little bit.
Okay, I didn't hear that.
You heard Windsor?
I didn't hear Windsor either. No,
okay.
I just heard him, Ryan. Or James Crapia, because I've known him for a little while. But is Oregon the new Big Ten villain? I don't think so. It depends how you present yourself. You remember Nebraska came into the Big Ten and it was like the new bullies of the Big Ten, and then they weren't, and it was like, yeah, fuck off. Mm-hmm. And I think I don't sense that. I mean, maybe James presented them that way, but you don't sense that coming out of Oregon. This sort of, they're better than the league. I think they're grateful to be in the league. So I don't. I think it's going to take some things happening for them to be the villain. And I don't think they are right now.
DC Spartan, why'd you bring on the most negative and monotone-sounding guest ever? That reporter from the Oregonian was brutal. So defensive about the Pac-12 in Oregon. Almost had to skip the sode. Sheesh. Hook him up with some pure options in the booth on Friday, Graham.
Yeah, no, if you've got a negative person in your life who sounds like a douche, Pure Options is here for you and for them. It's a great gift for the douche in your life. Go to pureoptions.com, swing by, pick up some MGs, some edibles, drop them off, and help them become less douchey.
Are you going to tell him when you see him in the press box of like what people thought about the interview? Or
No, I don't
if
think
he
so.
said like, Graham, I love doing the interview. I hope people liked it. And you're, I think people liked it. Are you going to say that? Or
I don't think
would you
he'll
be
say that. I don't think he'll say that.
Oh,
Because as everybody says, he doesn't seem like that kind of guy.
Mm.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't say like people thought you were actually monotone and a douche, but I like you.
I would. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of awkward. All right, Bo McJunkins.
He was a guest on our show.
I thought he was
careful
great.
here.
I'm really.
Yeah.
I get it. It's just people are reacting. It's fine. Bo McJunkins, should we be encouraged that MSU true freshman offensive lineman Rakeem Johnson held his own on Saturday?
Yeah. And Brian Lindgren, I think the offensive coordinator for Michigan State, was impressed. And he even said, when you're a play caller and you get a situation like that, you're paying attention if you've got a problem there that you have to call plays away from. Like, do you have to change your plays because you've got a real weakness on the offensive line? And when you've got a true freshman and that didn't happen, I think that's a really promising sign.
Bo McJunkins, not a single guy on the all Big Ten teams and picked 8th by The Athletic, and we're behind Dusty May. Does that show how far the program has fallen from its standard the last 5 years? Don't downplay your precious Athletic now, Graham.
Was this the Athletic poll or was this the one done by Columbus and Indianapolis? I'm part of one of them. And let me just tell you this. When I put together all conference teams and rankings for Big Ten basketball, when there are 18 teams in the league and there are 74 million transfers and it's a new season and it's almost still September, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. I guarantee you, I love the poll. I love the two guys put it together. Most of the people doing that don't have an idea because you don't know. The teams are so different. Like Michigan State is a great example. They don't, like, I was going through it and I put Xavier Booker on the second team just sort of out of potential and but no other Michigan State player. But there are a number of guys who you could see having a first, second, or third team type of season, but they've got to prove it. They've got to grow. I don't think it speaks to the lack of potential for this team. It speaks to the lack of proven players on the roster that exists now, and there's been a lot of turnover from the main guys on the roster before. And so, yeah, it does speak a little bit, I guess, to a program that hasn't been the last 4 years where it once was. But I don't think it speaks to the lack of potential for this year's group.
Bo McJunkins, should Scott Harris get full credit for this? He still looked at this team's shit lineup most of the year and didn't do anything about it. Luckily, we made the playoffs, but this could have been a very different if the Twins didn't collapse.
I mean, Harris gets credit because he sent guys down. They brought guys up. The Trey Sweeney addition, and they got a minor leaguer they're high on too in that trade. I mean, there were just lots of moves that seemed to work, and the GM should get credit for that. Obviously there are.
Until Chris Ilitch is transparent, we know exactly what happens. You can't blame Scott Harris. I think that obviously he wanted this to happen all season long, right?
Yeah.
It's just when you have an owner looking over your shoulder.
I've been a little more skeptical of Scott Harris in this year until this run, but I haven't lost faith in him the way I've lost faith in the owner. Like, to me, the question is whether the owner will let the GM do what needs to be done. Right. And look, Scott Harris, frankly, is getting some of that credibility back, or at least boosting credibility I wasn't sure he had yet, based on what we've seen and some of the young guys. And I don't know. It's hard not to feel good about most things going on with the Tigers right now.
Couch on fire. Graham, remember when we thought over 79 wins for the Tigers was too much? Now, at the beginning of the season, I thought hammer the over.
But there was a point in the season, and this is why I don't feel bad about not betting them to make the playoffs, like when they were 9 games under 500, or even coming back and they were 6 games out or whatever. Because I remember at the midpoint, right before the trade deadline, when they had won enough games, they had a decent series maybe against the Dodgers or something like that, and the over-under was like 80.5 all of a sudden on several sports books. I thought, there's no way. Once they traded Flaherty, I was like, there's no way. I thought this is the type of bet that's worth like mortgaging your mom's house on, that they'll be under 80.5. So the fact that I never acted on that impulse makes me less, because I just didn't know. I mean, the Tigers beat writer for the Detroit Free Press is on his honeymoon right now, overseas, from what I understand. Evan Petzold.
Oh, is he really?
I mean, nobody saw this coming. right? I mean, nobody's. I mean, you don't blame him, and they could have said don't. I mean, I think he might. I don't know if he'll be back for the end of the next series now that they got through it, but. Why would that guy think the Tigers are going to be in the playoffs when they booked that thing? It made sense, and so nobody saw this coming.
Must have been some interesting conversations behind that. Huh?
Now that I think about it, I'm not sure I was supposed to share that. Maybe we fix that in post, or just keep that between us as a group.
Live listeners get that one. Couch on Fire. Are we still down on Torque? I don't think so. I think it's because he did have 30 homers last year. He showed some sort of promise last year throughout the season. Yeah, there were some up and downs, but I just think. I don't know. I'm not down on Torque, though.
So the way I feel about
apprehensive is a better word.
Yeah, and I think some of the frustration was the idea that they weren't that good, and this was supposed to be a guy who was going to be a star, and now they didn't get now that they're in the playoffs, number one, he's playing his butt off, and he's an imperfect player, but he's he's an important part to some degree of a
catch in
playoff
game
run.
one, man.
Yeah.
To end the game.
He hasn't been awful at the plate. He had a great at-bat in game two before the double. That he was part of scoring on. I mean, and so even if he never becomes the guy, now that the Tigers are good and they have a lot of other really good pieces, I think some of the venom is gone. The real question for him long term is is he going to be good enough to play first base year in and year out and hit well enough that they can have him
but
there?
But if Torque were drafted at a different route, like he wasn't the first overall, would you be that disgusted with Torque?
And I'm not disgusted. I'm not disgusted with him, certainly.
Not you, but people have questions about him still. Would you have questions if he was a third-round pick?
Well, yeah, I'd have questions about whether he was the first baseman of the future still. Yeah, no, but it does. Where he was drafted definitely impacts that. And the fact that he's come up and kept his head down and worked his butt off, I think people respect.
Couch on Fire, breakout star of Friday night's MSU game.
Ooh. To me, really, if they're going to win this game, and this sounds kind of obvious and that he's already played well, but it's Aidan Chiles. This is a national. A lot of people it's a Fox televised Friday night game. It's the game basically on Friday night that people be watching, and if they're going to win, it's because Chiles plays his tail off and also doesn't turn the ball over. And a lot of people would take notice of that, and I think he's capable of that game. I wouldn't predict it, but I think he's capable of that. And if they're going to win, then it's him.
Sparty Rick, what gives MSU a better shot at an upset on Friday night? 0 turnovers or 150-plus yards rushing? Can't have both in this hypothetical.
0 turnovers. They don't turn the ball. That's what you want. I mean, obviously, yeah, 100%.
Beppe Plum, what is the one word that can upset you? My wife is also a moist girl. Leaving that, but me. Valverde. Fuck, I just punched something. I still can't think straight when I think of him. I am irrationally angry now and won't sleep tonight. Valverde. Ugh.
Do you have a word?
So his wife also
doesn't like moist.
Moist. Your wife doesn't like
moist. She hates moist.
Javi. When I hear Javi, and if someone defends Javi or something, I just lose my shit. Or if I see a Javi Baez card, I'm like,
cars for kids. I just hear it.
Is that one word?
No, but it's like I hear the commercial and I don't want to give to that charity.
It could be cars for, right? That's how they put it. Cars for kids, all one word.
And I think they spell it with a K too.
Oh, the 4. Beppe Plum, if you had to bet your life savings on one, I'm not betting my $232.17. Which would you choose? MSU upsets Oregon or Tigers make it to the World Series?
It's MSU upsets Oregon. Even though the Tigers are the hotter team and the more likely to win on a given day, there's so much more that has to be done. It's still one night at Oregon against a Michigan State team that showed they could move the ball against Ohio State and compete for a little while, and Oregon's shown some flaws at times this year. The Tigers have to now beat the Indians, or Guardians. Sorry.
Oh, there's one.
Sorry. Guardians, which they can do, but they have to win that series. Then they have to win a best of 7, and then another. They got to win 3 series to win the World Series. That's a lot to do. So it's definitely Michigan State, Oregon. Over Oregon.
Mojo Jojo, I spent the summer of 2006 working on a cherry farm up north during the day and watching the Tigers on that magical run at night. How amazing is it that we get to experience this again? Tigers to the moon.
It's fun. You just don't get these all that much, and you don't get that initial rise. I've talked about this with Michigan State. We talked about that with the Lions. The initial rise is something it's hard to duplicate. Think about the way you felt about the Lions that first run they were making the year they didn't make the playoffs, and then last year. And the Lions, there's a lot of joy in this year, but it's a different kind of situation. The expectations
This is unexpected, man. We did not expect the Tigers to do anything whatsoever this year. We were just like, hey, cover that the spread for the season total, and then whatever happens, I guess.
Yeah, maybe play 1 or 2 games that matter in September.
Right.
You know, and it's way beyond.
And we are,
that.
I guess. A Mojo Jojo is Autzen, a trip-worthy stadium. Missed it 10 years ago. Broke ass just out of school. And missing it this time as I'll be in Chicago for grad school at Northwestern, where the only sport is books.
I mean, I like Eugene. I like the Pacific Northwest. I think it's pretty cool. I think there are probably other places that are more bucket list, but it's because Michigan State will play there every 4 years now. Every other year they'll play Oregon. Every 4 years they'll play there. There will be other opportunities hopefully for you, and so I think it's a cool trip. And if you
could you go just if Michigan State isn't playing at all though? If you want to go to the stadium, check out a game.
Yeah, but
because sometimes I think that could be fun if you don't have a rooting interest. Maybe you go to a game like that with that a stadium and just check it out.
Book it early. It's a tough place for hotels, and that's why I'm in an Airbnb with Solari and Maddie.
Mojo Jojo, question for both: what pilgrimages for games, stadiums, events, etc., should be on every sports fan's bucket list?
I mean, some people say Lambeau.
Yeah, but it's all subjective, I think.
Yeah,
it depends
totally.
on what sports you like. I went to that the Champions Tour golf event. I'm addicted. I can't wait till next summer to go to golf events. It's amazing to be on there, the access you get as a fan. So, but not everybody is the same. Not everyone loves golf. And
right, no. And
I went to Fenway. I love Fenway. It was fun.
To me, there are lots of little soccer stadiums in England, and then there are, I want to go to the U.S. Open tennis. That's probably the one that next I really want to do.
That's expensive, though, isn't it?
It is, but you don't.
I'm not just saying stay in there, but like the tickets and everything.
And the only way I can do it because of when it is and when MSU football starts every year is the week MSU opens to get a certain amount of work done and go on leave on a Tuesday, go to all the Wednesday matches, come back Thursday or early Friday. It'd be the only way to do it, and go to a couple days in the first week, which is actually a great way to do it. You buy, it's a little less expensive, a lot more matches going on, but. It's something I'm planning to do. There are just so many of these. I mean, this is a great July topic. Everybody writes in and we go through them because I love the Kibbe Dome in Idaho. I think it's one of the coolest places to watch a game. I love the Palestra. I love where Michigan State's playing in the Superior Dome at Northern Michigan. Very, very cool place. Hinkle Fieldhouse at Butler. I've been, which is incredible. These are. I love Virginia for football. I just think it's a cool place. I don't know. There are just so many of them.
Izzo's no longer got to go. On this year's MSU football team, who would be one theoretical addition that would make the biggest difference?
Oh, it'd be just a mammoth left tackle. Jack Conklin, circa 2014, right? That would do it. That's what you need. You just need somebody who's that good. You can run around that edge. You can protect the blind side, all that stuff. It's a mammoth left tackle.
Izzo's no longer got to go. What's the shittiest thing about Cleveland? Their water catches fire. They let the old Indians' name stay too long. That's in a god-awful it's in a god-awful state. Something else.
Yeah, they've had a few moments. The water did catch fire. They had a balloon issue years ago where they let out too many balloons, and they were all over Lake Erie, and it was bad. I think it's partly that they have the shittiest of the Great Lakes. We wouldn't call them the Great Lakes if Lake Erie was really what we were using as the standard, would we? I mean, it's Lake Superior 1, Lake Michigan 2, Lake Huron 3, Lake Ontario 4, and then you got Lake Erie. I mean, it's a great lake, but is it? Yeah.
Cracker Sofa. Last week I asked if taking the Commanders was easy money since Arizona had just played the Lions. They won by 28. True litmus test to this theory this week as the Seahawks go to the Giants. So are the Giants the best bet of the weekend?
Yeah, it's interesting.
Your theory's right. Yeah, I guess so.
It's an ugly bet to make. I wouldn't do it against these Seahawks because I think the problem with that bet is the Seahawks offense, which looked really good last week, even though their defense may not be great. Can the Giants keep pace with that no matter who they're playing? I don't know.
And the Commanders are on fire.
Yeah.
Their offense looks unbelievable.
Yeah, for sure.
The Giants are ass. Tyler, I'm going to be traveling in China when the Lions hang a 50 burger on the Cowboys. Just make sure somebody plays Harry's little Jared Goff's son.
Song. Sorry,
Song.
I cut the G.
Song.
Iguna Yaba Gita Jared Goff.
In your defense, I should have known that. Jared Goff's son. I mean, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Sorry. I know I get on you for that. But MCV, what has more grit, a lion or a tiger?
Right now, the Tigers. I mean, the Lions, I don't know. It's great.
Oh, I thought we were breaking down animals, like for real.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, like a lion or a tiger.
I think it's probably a lion, right?
I think they both have grit. They scare the shit out of me.
Yeah,
I would not
fuck
want to
with
be in a
either
cage with either one.
You can go down a bad rabbit hole on social media where you watch about people get trapped in the cages with these two things. It just doesn't go
or
well.
a good rabbit hole. It depends on,
what you're
pro animal.
What you're looking for. By the way, if you just to look and enjoy Tigers baseball, Lions baseball, Michigan State baseball, and a tailgate or a any scenario at home, Groovy Donuts is here for you. They'll do Detroit Lions donuts, Detroit Tigers donuts. Make that part of your little gathering, your little solo gathering, and if it's just you and a box of donuts, that's a great gathering. That's like 6 donuts and you. That's a party, okay? GroovyDonuts.com to place that order today, or swing by either location on Lake Lansing Road in East Lansing or in Williamston. Open 7 a.m. Thursday through Sunday. Don't go on Mondays because you'll have to wait.
MCV, which of the 4 West Coast Big Ten teams would be the most likely to go back to a patchwork Pac-12 conference?
Well, it'd be UCLA, only because it would take somebody who's tied into like the California system. Nobody's going back, but it would be like it would take like Cal coming back, and like all of a sudden the whole California public system wanted all their teams together. I don't know, something like that would be the one.
MCV, should college football just rip off the Band-Aid and create the 2 super conferences, Big Ten and SEC, instead of all these nonsensical realignment attempts?
No, because you got to change at the pace that change is happening, because you never know where people's moods are going to be. Don't get ahead of this. Don't get ahead of this, because some of this doesn't make sense, and you don't want to do something that's not that necessary. We are going to take a really quick break. We'll be right back with more of your Groovy Donut Twitter questions.
Hey, sports fans, are you tired of the same old routine? Looking for a way to unwind after a long day? Look no further than Pure Options, the premier destination for all of your cannabis needs in Lansing, Detroit, Muskegon, and Mount Pleasant. Whether you're cheering for the Lions, Spartans, or the Wolverines, Pure Options has everything you need to elevate your game day experience. Mention Couch the Rube when you visit Pure Options and get a Pro Grow 8th with a $50 purchase. It's our way of saying thank you for being a loyal listener. Swing by Pure Options today and elevate your cannabis experience to a whole new level. Firekeeper's online casino and sportsbook is the site to play from your phone, tablet, or laptop. Get in on all the football action with pre- and in-game wagering. There's showdowns every week in football that you can't miss. Plus, the college and pro hoops are red hot, and the pucks are cool. Get your first casino deposit and sports wager matched up to $500 each. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older and located in Michigan. Gambling problem? Call the Michigan Problem Gambling Helpline at 1-800-270-7117. Where else can you cheer on your team? Enjoy a mouth-watering burger or savory sushi. Sip on handcrafted cocktails or one of 46 beers on tap. Take your game day or date night to Cask & Company Kitchen Bar or Front 43 Neighborhood Pub near Frandor. 2 amazing places with 1 awesome blended modern American Asian menu. Catch the game on one of 30 60-inch TVs or stop in for the all-you-can-eat lunch buffet. Enjoy happy hour or elevate your night out at Cask & Company or Front 43 on East Saginaw in Lansing. Ever wonder how comfortable you can be and how good you can look? Put on a Muskox flannel and find out. Muskox has new arrivals for this fall, including the Caper Green Grand Flannel, which even makes couch look good. Muskox is a Detroit-based flannel company that creates soft and durable flannels made to last a lifetime. They've become a great partner with Couch and the Rube, not just because they make us look good and feel good, but because they're good people too, and a socially conscious company. For every $100 purchase, $10 is donated to the Alaska Wildlife Conservation. Muskox flannels are designed with 100% cotton that is ethically sourced and double brushed for softness. Feel the quality and comfort of a Muskox flannel by ordering at GoMuskox.com, where Couch and the Rube listeners can enjoy $15 off their flannel purchase with the promo code HOFF. Come enjoy irresistible, award-winning, handcrafted donuts and locally roasted coffee at Groovy Donuts. Surprise your family or coworkers with special holiday designs and flavors, or put the perfect finishing touch on an event with a custom order. Birthdays, weddings, gender reveals, our friends at Groovy Donuts are your answer. Experience the Groovy Donuts difference for yourself on Lake Lansing Road in East Lansing or in Williamston. Get more information or place an order at groovydonuts.com. If you're looking for a relaxed vibe, great food, and an outstanding beer selection, Midtown Brewing Company in downtown Lansing is your place. Enjoy their famed chicken and waffle fries, fish and chips, or any of their delicious burgers or salads. Midtown Brewing Company also offers 40-plus beers on tap, including ciders and seasonal offerings and daily happy hour specials. The spacious and cozy vibe makes Midtown Brewing Company a perfect place for a beer with a friend, a work lunch, or to watch the games on its big screen TVs. If you'd rather eat at home, Midtown Brewing Company offers a terrific carry-out menu and free delivery on orders of $20 or more. Visit MidtownBrewingCompany.net or stop by 402 South Washington in downtown Lansing for the Midtown Brewing Company experience.
Couch in the Rue, presented by our friends at Pure Options, Precision Crafted Cannabis, and our Thursday show brought to you by our friends at Firekeepers Casino, Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app. Back to your Groovy Donut Twitter questions. We have, by the way, I have to catch a flight in a little bit, so I've trimmed a few of them. Got everybody's question in. Everybody who asked a question has at least one question in, but had to trim a few of them going forward. So if you don't hear something you asked you thought was really good and it's still worth asking next week, please resubmit it.
Fossman 80, will MSU be able to rush for more than 100 yards against Oregon? What is the over-under on MSU's rushing yards in this game, and which way are you leaning?
You know, I haven't actually looked on the apps to what the over-under would be for it, but I would say in terms of, I bet the over-under is over 79 yards, something like that, I would say, and I would lean, until they prove more, I would lean under. I was hoping we'd go for some Hoff after telling fans, listeners, that we're cutting questions. Yeah, sorry.
Fossman 80, how do you prepare for working at an away night game? An early afternoon nap to fortify you for the late kickoff? A light dinner so you don't have to go into a food coma and nod off in the press box? Or are you old school and feasting on a steak and pounding bourbons, as I imagine many sports writers of yesteryear did? Give us listeners a quick walkthrough of your day on Friday.
Well, this Friday, it's different when you're on the road and it's a night game. You've got the day, you go get a meal somewhere, explore the town a little bit, get a walk in without a treadmill. There might be some soccer on at 3 o'clock. I have to figure out how to see that, all that sort of good stuff. Usually a night game on a Saturday, it's tough because I'm up early to watch the soccer, and you're watching some college football, and it's kind of fun. The night itself sucks late because you're up till 6, 7 in the morning, at least for me, not for every sports writer, but because of the way we set up our workflow and the column writing and all that stuff. But the day is yours. And that's the beauty of it. You get your Saturday in some ways, and you get to see more college football than you ever would if you want to, hang out with your wife or something like that. So, and I try to eat carefully because I know I'm going to eat late. Because if you're going to be up till 6 or 7, you're going to eat something at 1 in the morning. So I try not to eat till 4 or 5 p.m.
Ken Chu, how many cases of hearing loss resulted from the MSU halftime show?
Yeah, it's a completely deaf fan base. I'm actually surprised anybody's listening. When we see 0 downloads on this podcast, we'll know it's a completely deaf fan base now.
Scott, have we got Kenny his situation with tailgating figured out? And all that?
No, we talked about it, but we're working on that before the Iowa game.
Skylar Verdon, why can't you release the Stallion story? Is it more of having to protect the source or not having enough sourcing to confidently say that this is what happened? And how much of that decision is up to you?
Right. So it is, there is a level of course, protecting your source. But the reason the story isn't there is it's not that I'm not confident in what happened. I have what happened. I believe in the source 100%. But we have a standard of multiple sourcing at a certain level for anonymous sourcing at our paper, which I respect and often saves us from a lot of things. It's been frustrating here. And so how much of that decision is up to you? I have a column that's been written and reworked, and I was hopeful that even this week we'd be in a spot. But that's just but we're not there, and hopefully it will be. And even with it, it might be a pared down version where I can only share certain details because that is what's corroborated, right? And it's not about just what I'm confident in. It's about what meets our standard for sourcing, and I respect that.
Joe Naughty. Graham, if you could have any guest on the show, who would it be? And Jason, if you could have any guest on the show, who would it be?
It's probably Ron Banks, former Lansing Sexton great basketball player. We'd probably get him, actually. Yeah, we probably could actually.
I think Izzo and a couple, like if we had like 4 or 5 listener Twitter questions that I could read for Izzo. And
I meant to do that. So doing an Izzo Twitter question show would be something we ought to do.
Well, not a show. I mean, we have to, we're not going to have him on for like an hour.
We could probably, Ebling's probably had him for 45 minutes at some point.
That doesn't make it right.
Told him it was going to be 10 minutes and wound up talking over 45.
Yeah, but they're friends. I mean.
Yeah, that's true. Izzo would be like, what the fuck's going on in this grant? All our Twitter questions would be like, Tom, why do you play so many big guys? Use the fucking transfer portal. No, we'd edit them. But
Coach, do you courtesy flush?
I still think that would be a. What do you think of troughs?
Yeah,
I still think that would be a fun show to do.
Yeah. Ben Jen, what is your go-to food when you're sick? Fuck chicken soup. Pho all the way.
Pizza. I love pizza.
Really? When you're sick?
Oh, I love pizza. I think it's an addiction when I'm sick. How about you?
I don't know. I don't really have a go-to food. If I'm sick, I'm just in bed. I don't need anything.
I think it's an excuse to order pizza every night.
Yeah, but then you're not really sick. If you feel like, I felt like if I wanted pizza, like I'm okay. I'm not sick then.
Well, if it's a stomach illness, that's different. But I'm saying if you just got a head cold, pizza. I want pizza.
That's sick? Head cold?
Head cold is as sick as anything.
All right. Jordan Bunt, let's see how well you can go back and forth naming your fans' Twitter names. Rube, you can start. Fart soup.
Ben Jen.
T-bone.
Grammarito couch.
Lobster puncher.
Upper deck jerk guy.
All right, I'm just reading.
Okay.
Jordan Bunt, Grammarito couch. Is Friday night college football more entertaining than Saturday college football? It's not good football, but damn, it's fun.
It's fun because it's different. It's a surprise. It's bonus football.
I don't really mind it.
It's bonus.
Like it doesn't bother me on Friday nights, right?
Yeah,
have a game as long as you're not playing every Friday night or every other, maybe. But
correct. My big thing is I don't have a problem with college football on Friday nights. I would have a problem if a given team played just about every Friday in their market, given high school.
But
football.
The argument is the high school football. I don't care about high school football. So if someone did, I could understand how you would be pissed off Friday nights. And
even so, a game here or there, not a big deal.
Right.
If it was every weekend, like Michigan State became like a Friday night team, that's not great for the Lansing area high school football.
Jake Hawkins, do you think Jonathan Smith and MSU will target offensive linemen big time in the transfer portal in the offseason?
Yeah, it depends who they're. Yeah, certainly to some degree. Offensive linemen are harder to get than others because they tend to get someplace, and if it's going well, they're just going to stay. It's just different. It's like so you don't want some guy who's been an offensive lineman who hasn't been very good. You want somebody who's probably been an offensive lineman at a smaller school and wants to play in the Big Ten and has been very good. And that's what you got to find. But I would be surprised if they don't add, certainly through the transfer portal, at that position.
Upper Deck Jerk Guy, if this Tiger team wins the World Series, should we unretire Leland's number since he couldn't do it with a superstar roster?
Yeah. The legacy changes.
That sounds like an Illich thing, though. Upper Deck Jerk Guy, have you ever suffered from a bout of coitophobia?
Oh, hold on a second. Let me look this up here. Don't be porn. Oh, shit. Well, an irrational and persistent fear of sexual intercourse. That is not something that
a lot of wives have that. You know what I mean?
This is what Therese was diagnosed with last week.
How dare you? Upper Deck Jerk Guy. We're dealing with it the best we can. Finally, what bet has lost you the most money this year? I can't think now after that great joke, man. Jesus.
I'd say it's the Philadelphia Eagles in that Monday night game where they blew it and Saquon Barkley didn't catch the pass. I had that tied into like 14 different little parlays. Thought they were going to win. I just needed the money line
19
there.
Soccer parlays.
Yeah, that was definitely the one. We appreciate all of you for producing our show as always. We appreciate Groovy Donuts they've been with us from just about the beginning. Monica and Andrew are fantastic. And if you want fantastic donuts, Groovy Donuts are here for you. Again, groovydonuts.com or swing by either location Monday. Monday. I open Mondays. I'm going to have to open Mondays because of my ass. Thursday through Sunday, 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. Go to groovydonuts.com to place your orders. We appreciate Pure Options, pureoptions.com for location information and specials. And, of course, Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app. We'll be back, I think, Monday.
Yeah.
Good show, man.
Yeah, man.